Q4 Mastery Day 5. I'm Riya Mittal and I will be your host for this event. So the last 4 days have been amazing. The love and the support from you all have been amazing. So of course, this is the last chance to register for our event to gain extra benefits such as workshops and goodie bags that we send out to all our registered users. So make sure that you are registered. The link is in the description. This is our last day, so the registration closes soon. So a quick recap of what has happened in Amazon Q4 Mastery by far. Day 1 was all about scaling and building your D2C brand. Second was how you can raise capital and funds for your brand. And of course, we spoke about VAT compliances as well. Day 3 was all about advertising, marketing, Amazon, off Amazon, the future and innovation marketing, one of my favorite sessions. And then we had Day 4 was all about inventory management, guidelines, tips, how you can get reimbursed for your FB errors, which is really important and will get you extra cash. And in Day 5, we are going to be talking about data. So data can make or break your business. Data never lies. Data is the only thing that you can show to people that is the most true form of your business. So to kickstart today's session, we are going to be looking at numbers that you need to improve your Q4 strategy. If you're a beginner seller and if you're wondering how you can read your numbers and how you can understand your data, Mayuresh, who is CTO at SellerApp, is going to help you understand just that. So as I said, numbers is a very important part of your business, and Mayuresh here makes it easy for you to understand those numbers, which will help you formulate your Q4 strategy, which also helps you understand if your business is heading into the right direction that you have set it for. So help me welcome Mayuresh and let's get started.
Thank you, Riya, for the lead. Hi, everyone. It's a great honor to be here with you today. If you are a sole entrepreneur who's selling on Amazon, or a CXO, or a business analyst working for a CXO, I'm sure you're already planning your Q4. What I'd like to do today is I'd like to share some Uber level insights with you that can make your go-to-market or the go-to Amazon marketplace planning a real successful one, right? So let's begin. I'm sure there are a lot of other sessions in this Q4 Mastery event that you've been watching, and there are a few more to go. But I'd really like to encourage you to look at each one of them. They all are going to cover various topics in detail. So let's begin. A little bit about me. My name is Mayuresh Nirhali. I've been in the technology domain for 20 years, currently responsible for the technology behind the SellerApp platform. I've primarily been working on data analytics, databases, operating systems. In my career, spent some time with Sun Microsystems and Oracle, and my last stint was with a private equity firm where I helped them evaluate the startups that they wanted to acquire. Really excited to be here with you, talk about some of the technology breakthroughs that we have made and want to share them with you. So let's move on. So I know you are probably already selling on Amazon, right? And how do you identify what is the market share for the category in which you're selling on your products? How do you know who the market leader is, right? I think this is not new. This is all market research. What has really changed is that the technology behind this has now made it possible for everyone to kind of include these numbers, use them in a way, slice and dice them when you're looking at them, and identify information and insights out of it, and then use them to make certain decisions, especially for a big event, which is, or rather the large part of the year, right, which is Q4. So what I'm going to cover today is what essentially you would be working with a consultant who would give you a lot of data, and that will allow you to extract more information and then insights through it, right? So let's begin. Specifically, I'm going to talk about few Uber level insights that you must include in your plan for this year. And then I'm going to get into several parts of your strategy, and for each of those parts, specifically 10 of them, which are the kind of numbers that you need to look at and how you can get insights out of that data, and what type of decisions you can make based out of that insights or information. Okay, so let's begin with the first one. As you know already, e-commerce sales is expected to touch about 5 trillion in 2022, right? And at this point, about 2.1 billion, which is 27% of global population, is already buying products online, right? So if you're selling on e-commerce marketplace, that means you're already getting attention, or that's as big a market that you have, right? It's also important to note that this market is set to grow. Imagine, it's just still the 27% of the global population. So it's set to grow further. And then, there are other aspects to it, such as going to other geographies, all the other demographies, going B2C or B2B, and those aspects we'll discuss a bit in detail. But the key reason why the e-commerce is basically going to be here to stay is the free and the fast delivery, right? So the choice that people have with respect to walking into a store versus e-commerce, right? So the key thing here is to note that the market is set out to grow, which means there is a lot of room for you to make sure that, whatever you're trying for this Q4, make sure these experiments are with you. The results are analyzed, and then you're learning from these, because this is going to be a long-term game. Right? Moving on to the next one, if you're already selling on Amazon, Amazon is the leader, so you are sort of in the safe hands with them. About 48% of online shoppers are, the moment they have something in their mind to buy, they first go to Amazon, which means that having your products being sold on Amazon means that you have the maximum possible eyes in the first go itself, right? The key thing we need to understand when you're selling on Amazon is what is the Amazon's value proposition that makes Amazon successful, because ultimately Amazon considers sellers as partners, which means that you need to understand how Amazon is playing this game so that you kind of complement them and not kind of hinder overall your growth, right? So from that growth value proposition, the first thing is fulfillment, right? Quick, fast delivery. The second is the advertising. With now so many people starting out their search on Amazon, the amount of advertising they do is a very important factor in terms of getting a bigger or a larger brand visibility. And third is the customer service, right? They are playing a role on your behalf in terms of refunds, in terms of returns, in terms of providing any other assistance, in terms of payments, and everything there could be in customer service, right? Make sure we understand that Amazon has grown like 20% just the Q1 of this year, right? Now, if Amazon is growing at this rate, which means that there are that many more sales, right, that are happening. Now, it's for you to kind of see how you can convert that percent of growth. Typically, Q4 is expected to grow around 25 to 40%, depending on which categories you're playing into. But if Amazon is growing at this rate, it seems that Q4 this year, you could go up to 40 to 60% of growth in sales, depending on the categories you're playing, right? So make sure that you're prepared for that, right? So let's move on. With that, I would like to make my first, Uber, insight on what you must consider in your Q4 planning strategy. If you look at e-commerce a few years ago, it was very difficult for sellers to start selling on different marketplaces or different regions, different continents, for example. But in the last few years, marketplaces have taken enough efforts, they've built networks for fulfillment so that you as a seller can easily start selling in a different country, and a buyer can also buy an item from a marketplace in a different region, and that could still be fulfilled in a reasonable amount of time. Now, this breakthrough, all the work done by the marketplaces, is enabling the sellers to essentially reach out to larger marketplaces, right? So if you just look at some trends, they indicate that by 2023, the retail e-commerce in Asia Pacific is actually projected to be greater than the rest of the world, right? And All of this is primarily driven by the fulfillment networks that are set up by the marketplaces. So this Q4, I want you to consider, if you're not already, to make sure that you can possibly add a new marketplace for wherever you're currently selling on, right? So let's analyze this trends a little bit better. If you look at the next slide, essentially that gives you the e-commerce sales overall in 2001 Q1 so far. China is clearly higher because they're not only doing B2C but also doing B2B sales worldwide, and then it's US and UK. But if you see the other countries in that list, mostly in some parts of the Europe or Asia Pacific, they are set to see unprecedented growth in the next year. So, from a very high level planning perspective, this Q4 you should analyze which are the other marketplaces you can go to via Amazon, and try and see what you need to do in order to make that happen. What do you learn from there, and then kind of iterate on it, right? Just so that kind of helps you to kind of identify which could be the countries that you want to choose. There is some analysis already done. There are already top tier markets on the left side of your screen, and then there is a second wave. So you should be right now picking up countries from the top tier markets or the second waves that are right now on your screen, right? Moving on to the second Uber insight I wanted to share with you is that B2B is likely to take over B2C, right? There is a significant trend that we've seen from 2016 to 2018 and to 2020 now. And essentially, I was reading a Gartner report, and that kind of indicated that about 57% of the entire sales cycle is already considered done by the B2B buyers if they are buying something or evaluating something on an e-commerce marketplace such as Amazon, right? Which means that a good part of your evaluation of the product mix, the brand is already complete before they even reach out to the sales rep on the buyer side, so that and that they could be doing for negotiating prices and things like that, right? So that is a significant advantage to B2B buyers. On the seller side, it is also important that B2B sales are high quantity, and Amazon's this year has launched a B2B program. There are a lot of reports that Amazon is publishing in terms of how to identify B2B products, which products people are demanding, making requests on Amazon. These reports can be easily downloaded through Amazon or SellerApp platform, and then you can work your way through it in terms of identifying, I have a set of products that I'm already selling. How do I now start to get into making them B2B in order to get some B2B oriented sales, right? So let's come to the second section of the presentation today. Here we are going to talk about, if you sit down and you're looking at planning your Q4 strategy at a high level, in terms of what kind of, do you sell new products? Do you want to go aggressively on brand awareness? Is it purely execution on orders? All of these are different areas, right? And in order for you to make any decision whether you want to focus 60% of your time, effort, money onto some of them, you need a lot of data to be able to make that choice, priority between these areas. So what I'm going to do today in the next few minutes is to touch upon about 10 areas of your Q4 strategy planning and talk about what kind of data you would need, and having that data, what type of insights you can generate. And of course, the technology today enables us to go through millions of orders, millions of products, millions of keywords to be able to come up with information extracted out of that data, and then be able to see it through different lenses, to different angles, to be able to come up with insights, right? So we're going to talk also a little bit about the tools that you could use, but the primary focus is going to be on the kind of data points that are today available that you may or may not be aware of, and how to kind of utilize them, right? So let's begin. So let's take a hypothetical example that you are considering you will expand to another geography, right? And the first thing you're going to be needing to evaluate is what is the estimated potential of that region, right? And here you have a very simple formula that allows you to come up with that number. And if you just look at that formula on your screen, of course the result is the marketing potential, but the inputs are 4. One of them is total number of potential consumers. This is going to be a worldwide data depending on if you're doing B2C, is it, what kind of a category you're selling. But this is going to be very closely tied to the overall population or a percent of that population. The second most important thing, which is market share. We're going to talk about market share a little bit in detail now. But let's move on to the next, which is P, which is the average selling price, which is going to remain somewhat very close to your existing product and what you're already selling them at, right? And the next is the Q, which is the average annual consumption, which is also something that you can derive from your past orders in the current region that you're already operating in. So let's come back to the market share, right? The market share is pretty much the most significant factor, which is very specific to the region that you're targeting, right? And for you to be able to come up with that data, you will need some assistance in terms of, say, what is already happening on Amazon for the categories in which I am operating in, who are the current players, what are the kind of estimated sales per month are they generating, what were the estimated sales that they generated, say, last year in Q4, who are the market leaders. So that is the type of data that you are going to need to be able to understand that this is the overall market share that I can target given the existing dynamics of this category or the saturation, all of this for you to be able to assess. There is a certain type of data that you're going to need. You're obviously going to need unit sales or the estimated sales for the products that you're looking at. They could be yours or your competition products. And the technology allows today to come up with estimations on these products and their sales in a fairly accurate manner. That gives you, most of these market research initiatives are driven by certain assumptions. But here you are using, advanced AI and ML techniques to be able to estimate sales in a manner that they can be very, very close to the actual sales. So that then kind of adds up. If you have, let's say that you are looking at a certain category in which you already know or tracking a competition. So you can go and look at that brand and identify all the products they have, look at estimated sales for, say, Q4 last year, or estimated sales, predicted estimated sales for current Q4, and identify a market share that they have, right? And then look at pretty much all the products and then come up with a number that gives you a total estimated sales for that set of products or a category of products, and then derive the market share that your competition has, and then focus on what is it that you want to target to get at if you want to enter into that region, right? Of course, there are a few other data points that you need. You need a lot of historical data to identify trends, and you also need a good view of who are the best-selling products, why they might be best-selling in the region. So that is also a key data point that you would need in terms of identifying the category market share, right? Now, like I mentioned there, every year we're targeting, sellers are hoping to get up to about 30% increase. But this year, I suspect that it is going to be on the upside of 30%, 30 to 50%, given the current situation, the overall penetration of marketplaces and online buying, in the mass. Moving on to the second one, over the past few years, there there has been a very, very clear difference into how buyers approach their purchase, right? Earlier, the first thing that would come to their mind is if I'm looking for, say, a face mask, I would go to Google first and then look at what my options are. But now, in the last few years, people first think of Amazon. They go to the Amazon, they start searching on Amazon, right? So it is extremely important for sellers to understand how that funnel works. What are the type of keywords that are absolutely most important keywords for them to target for the kind of products that they are selling? And the numbers are telling us that even if you are a D2C brand who is focused on getting a lot of traffic onto your own website, it is still important to have a play on an e-commerce marketplace for this reason, simply because there are just additional more eyes looking at, searching for the kind of products that you are willing to sell, you are selling, right? So with that, key difference requires all sellers to understand and work with a lot of keyword related data, what we consider to be the visibility, or rather the search visibility for your products, right? Which means that, given, let's say again, I'm selling a set of face masks, I have a fair idea of what keywords the buyers are going to use, and I want to now know when anybody is using that keyword, where does my product stand in terms of the search results? A lot of sellers think that this is not possible to get at, although these thoughts might, they might come across these thoughts that can I get this data? But now the technology makes it possible that there can be a daily tracking feasible and available that allows them to see that where does their products rank. Now this kind of essentially gives a big push to monitoring any strategy that you are making in terms of increasing discoverability of your products, which means that no matter what related keywords people are looking for or searching on, and you are trying, optimize your listing or advertising, all of that is expected to essentially push the rank of your products in the overall search results, right? So you will be able to track now on a pretty much daily basis what is the search visibility for your products. And for that, the important data points are obviously the page rank. Are you on page 1 or page 3 or page 4? What is the position are you at? What is the relative movement of your, can I see the trends or historical data over the past week or 2 weeks, so that I know some of the actions that I've taken, have they resulted in any increase in any increase in position in terms of better search visibility. And those are important points that are now possible and available that you should really use while making your own strategy. Next is clearly, and it is a related topic, which is optimization. Clearly, this is a topic that is talked about in really great detail. So I'm going to just talk about the data points that you need. Obviously, understanding the funnel of buyer on an e-commerce marketplace, the fact that it starts from the keyword. You need to understand for the kind of keywords that you are targeting for, what are the related keywords, what is the search volume, and Amazon does not share exact search volume numbers, but there are tools that can estimate the search volume. That gives you sort of a relative ranking. You can stack rank them in the reverse order with the keyword with the higher search volume being at the top, and understand these are the search terms or keywords I must focus on, given that they have much higher search volume. And of course, if you are looking at listing optimization, then the key metric there is also conversion rate, right? What amount of keyword searches on a particular keyword is getting converted into a sale, right? So that conversion rate is also an estimation but with AI and ML, you can have very close to accurate estimates around conversion rates and search volumes that can guide your decision as to which keywords to focus on in your listing optimization, right? So make sure you use that. Amazon has also come up with a new kind of a metric called search frequency rank. You can see that in your brand analytics, and identify search frequency rank is just the rank number. It doesn't give you the absolute search volume number, but it just gives you the rank of the keyword based on the search volume and any additional criteria that Amazon uses. So you should also look at the search frequency rank, the SFR, and make your decisions about which keywords you want to focus on. So the next, we're going to talk about profitability, which is very crucial for any sustainable business, right? The key thing here is that if you're selling on e-commerce or Amazon in particular, there are very large types of fees that you need to account for in addition to your own expenses, which could be on the side of your cost of goods sold, your shipping to the Amazon warehouses and things like that. Having a very accurate understanding of how much profit you're making at an order level becomes a key. There are tools available right now that can assess your revenue, your discounts, your taxes, all types of fees on Amazon, any refunds, and tools that allow you to then input any additional expenses on your side, such as cost of goods sold, so that you get a complete picture of your income as well as your expenses to identify what are the profits you're making. And some of the most important decisions you can make based on this data is, do I go FBA or do I go FBM, right? Because these type of decisions you cannot make until you see some data, right? So a lot of people try out FBA and then get this data, analyze it. I'm sure for your existing products, you already are doing that, right? But if you look at, the data you need all types of fees. At an order level, some fees are going to be at the account level. At an order level, you need tax, you need the discounts applied, you need the cost of goods sold, you need any other supplier expenses and any other additional costs, such as your advertising cost. So all of that could be combined and to give you a view of this is your profitability over a period of time, and that allows you to make decisions at a high level, whether I go FBA or FBM, whether I cut down on fees, what fees I am expensing a lot more than I should, how do I cut them down, things like that, right? Moving on to the next one is obviously, depending on your strategy this year, you will have a very specific strategy for advertising, such as I could be focused on just brand awareness, or I could be focused on sales in general. So clearly, the trends on Amazon currently say that the average advertising cost has gone up from something like $0.8 to like $1.2. I mean, this is the CPC. That's an average. Of course, it differs every category, every product, every type of ad that you make, right? But there are several tools that can analyze your data and identify what are the areas that you can cut down on your wasteful spend, how you can optimize your bid. I mean, once your campaigns are set up, you are primarily only playing with optimizing the bid. And given that the CPC is increasing, you need to be even more careful now to ensure that you're not making any wasteful spend, right? We'll talk about some additional tools, but from the data that you need for this, clearly you need the campaign performance data, which is the impressions, clicks, attributed orders. You also always need to keep an eye on the target ACoS that you want to get at with this, so that these tools can provide you insights around which keywords to focus on, which keywords to remove from your campaigns and stuff like that, right? If you look at the buying sort of trends or metrics, Amazon's Prime program has like 200 million US users, and when they were asked that what is the critical part of their buying process, And the most important thing that came out of that exercise is that they all look at customer reviews, right? Which means that having good customer reviews essentially increase the desirability of your products, improving your overall sales, right? So it's very important to have a review analysis strategy or review analysis section as part of your strategy, as you are focusing or investing your time and money on making sure that every sales you're able to convert that into a positive review that further increases your sales, right? The data that you need is very basic buyer details. Amazon does not share all buyer details, so you will not be able to go down to the level of how can I segment my buyers, but you know what the name is, where is he from, and then the primary thing you need to do in the review analysis is to look at what is the sentiment of this review, right? How can I feed this back into my product team? What do I need to do in terms of responding to those reviews to be able to capture, make sure that, as a seller, you are out there talking to your buyers and you're building your own brand and you're, some positivity around your customer service as well, right? So there are several tools that can provide that sentiment analysis. They can provide tools that will ensure that you can communicate with the buyers. There are tools that will allow you to know or get notified when there is a review or a bad review or a good review, so that you can take any action that you desire, right? As a private label or as your own brand, you are constantly figuring out, is this the right price, right? You are trying to make decisions that if I increase the price, is there going to be a drop in my sales or no, right? And all of these, you may be running some AI and ML techniques internally, or you're consulting outside. You will need tons of data about your own orders and about, say, some other data about your competition that you can bring into this to be able to come up with a better answer or a better strategy around how to change your prices, right? So on that end, the data that you need is essentially the current price and the historical price trend. You need the exact sales or maybe the estimated sales, which are also pretty accurate. You can use the estimated sales for, say, your competition, or you can analyze the price trends against the estimated sales for other products playing in the similar category and derive insights from it. So which means you need to track some other products in tools to be able to get these historical and trend data, right? So these are really some of the key data points that you will need to use to extract, any insights to make a decision on the price point. If you are a retail arbitrage seller, then I'm sure you are up against a fierce competition with many other sellers where you are trying to get a buy box first. So clearly, in terms of pricing strategy, you need to consider a different set of data in terms of who is winning the buy box, when, why they could be winning that buy box, which means you need the pricing data over a trend, over a period of time. Who is the buy box owner, and what is the price at which the buy box is being won, how is it fluctuating, what is the trend, and things like that, to be able to extract that data, right? And that data is available on several tools, including SellerApp. Demand forecasting is essentially about managing your inventory so that you are balancing fairly well between high order rates and high storage fees to be given, right? And there are several tools that you can use. Of course, with this pandemic, everyone has been pushed to kind of really stretch on their entire inventory line, getting their items shipped from wherever they get manufactured, they get ready into the warehouses of the marketplace, right? So with that push in mind, now several new factors have come in. Clearly, you need to know the estimated sales. You need to know, the total number of orders or the order velocity, the rate at which it is being ordered. You need to also understand the trends in the past, and then be able to forecast this is the amount of products I need to ship to Amazon. And of course, every Q4 planning strategy, I'm sure you're also considering, is there a new set of products? Do I go private label? What is my new product strategy for this year? Most of the sellers are actually looking to launch their new products in this time, right? And so at that time, different type of sellers like retail arbitrage, private label versus brand sellers or their own first party sellers, they all have a different view of looking at doing product research on Amazon, right? So clearly there are different data points that are required, such as, what is the rank? You look at the rank, you identify why it is a big rank or a higher rank. Clearly estimated sales. You look at estimated sales and you try and derive what is making these sales. In most cases, it is the rank that plays a significant role. At SellerApp, we've done extensive research on this, and we are coming up with new metrics that allows sellers to be able to identify opportunities. Now, given that most categories there is fierce competition, lots of brands are entering, there has to be a significantly improved version of how do I conduct my product research from what sellers have been doing so far. In that direction, something that we're coming up with which is already available on the platform, is Product Innovation Index, which really means that given that you are already playing into a category where there are lots of products, is there a scope for innovation on the product side that will further allow the seller to capture that market in an already crowded marketplace, right? So there are several factors that go into that. Such as the review analysis, the price trends, and many other factors that allow you to come up with that opportunity, index or the score given to each product at a product level that you can analyze and then identify, is this the good area to play in or not? So keep an eye for that, or look out for the Product Innovation Index for each of the products. We looked at a lot of areas on the strategy perspective, but the one thing that I think is changing or becoming more and more prominent for all sellers to consider this season is automation. Simplest way to explain automation is, a stop loss trigger that is completely automated on any platforms where you buy or sell stocks or any of the commodities, right? It is automated that if you hit a certain price, the campaigns would be stopped, for example, or in case of stock trading, you will sell that product or buy that product or short sell that product, right? So similarly here, you can, rather than continuously monitoring manually, you can set up certain rules so that when those conditions are met, you can pause the campaign, or you can stop the campaign, or take several other actions. Now, that's the general idea of automation, but this could be used not only in advertising, it could be used in the way, there are a lot of fulfillment tools, that will allow you to do orders, that will give you triggers on, your forecasts were right or wrong and things like that. There are also tools where you can automate your listing. Let's say there is a positive keyword or a keyword that is converting well. There are triggers that get generated that this is the trigger that you need to add to your listing. So there is a lot of automation that is coming in place. Amazon is investing heavily in terms of on the advertising side for automation. There are other places where automation could come in very handy, where you could be slightly more relaxed than you are probably for the last few years so far. So pay very close attention to these tools, evaluate these tools, make sure that you're using them for this Q4. And with that, I'd like to conclude with 4 important things that I want you to walk away from this session, right? Clearly, global selling is getting not only easier, but it's getting feasible, possible, profitable. So you really want to have a play starting this Q4. So make sure you're making considering that as part of your strategy. Second is B2B. The opportunity is really big. It's going to be there for many, many more decades. So you really want to start, if you're not already playing in that, all your products, evaluate if they can also be a B2B product. And if so, what is going to be the go-to Amazon marketplace strategy for them. Third is make sure that you are monitoring through the monitoring tools the position, say the search visibility and other things with respect to any strategic decisions, changes that you make to your strategy, or make changes to your listing, make changes to your advertising strategy and things like that. And the fourth, it's set to get over 30% increase in sales. So plan for that. With that, I'd like to stop here and thank you for listening.
So thank you so much for that informative session, Mayuresh. Numbers usually make me dizzy, but then I think Mayuresh did such a great job of putting those down. So thank you so much, Mayuresh, for helping all the sellers out there understand their numbers. Make sure to comment down below and tell us what you felt about the session. If you haven't registered yet, do that right now. So moving on, we are going to be understanding the indicators that you need to track to make sure that your products are headed into the direction that you want them to go in. So we have Justin from Titan Networks that will help us understand what these metrics are, what these indicators are, and how often you should track these indicators. So over to you, Justin, and I'm really excited for your session.
Thank you for the introduction, Rita. So hi everyone, my name is Justin Dyson. It's very good to be here with you, and today I want to talk about certain KPIs that you should be tracking on a daily basis to basically make sure that your product is alive and healthy and moving in the direction that you want it to go. So often, especially if you go through the Facebook groups and you see the comments and posts that people make, a lot of decisions about your product can be made on either someone else's suggestion who, quite frankly, may not know what they're talking about, or two, they're in a niche so different from yours that that information won't translate into what you are actually selling yourself. So what I want to talk about is how do you make decisions, good decisions, based on good data, your data, right? That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about several different data points. However, I've been tracking about 15 to 20 data points on every single SKU that I sell for every single day for the past 5 years or so, okay? I have spreadsheets upon spreadsheets of those 15 to 20 data points where I can go in and I can dive in and say, hey, I know exactly what's wrong with this product because I've been tracking it, right? And I know what to look for at this point. I've also got a very large spreadsheet that will basically give you an if this happens, then do this type of scenario. And that's really fantastic for just really diving deep into figuring out, hey, what's wrong with my product? However, I can't do that every day. I can't look at all those different data points on a daily basis. However, there are certain data points where I can look at those every day and I just take a quick glance, look at those. How does it look if it is within normal tolerable range for that particular product? Because like I said, every product's different. So if I look at that, I can quickly say, yes, we're on track, or no, we got a problem. And then I can go dive deep into those 15 to 20 data points. But what I want to share with you guys today isn't those 15 to 20. That's something that we do have spreadsheets for, we have software for within the Titan network. But today I want to tell you the 5 key metrics that you should be tracking on a daily basis, on a per product basis, so that you know whether your product is alive, well, and healthy and moving in the direction that you need it to, especially as we move into peak season. For some of you who have products that sell very well in Q4, then this is perfect for you. So that being said, first of the 5 metrics is sessions. So we all know that if you want to sell a product, you have to get people to go look at that product. They have to be able to find you. So the number one metric that we can use and track to know whether or not there's enough people coming to our listing and essentially giving us the ability to even track other metrics like conversion rate is sessions. So sessions basically say within a 24-hour period, how many unique people went to your listing. So the key word here is unique. So you have sessions and you have page views. We're not tracking page views at this point. We're just tracking sessions. So if the same customer goes to your listing 10 times in a 24-hour period, that's 1 session and 10 page views, right? So we're tracking sessions. We want to know the number of unique visits, not just how many total page views you've had. So the first metric is sessions. The second is conversion rate, or as Amazon calls it, a unit session percentage. And it's important to know the difference. Conversion rate is basically orders divided by sessions, and you end up getting no more than 100%. So if you had one session and one order, it's 100%, right? Well, in a unit session percentage, if you had 2 units sold and one session, you'd have a 200% unit session percentage. Okay, so it's important to know the difference here, right? We need to understand that a unit session percentage, even though we're going to mostly refer to it as a conversion rate, it means that if you have customers who buy more than one product at a time, and that's typical for you, then you will have a very high unit session percentage as compared to somebody who only sells one product at a time because of their niche or whatever. So it's super important to know that. If you know that, then you also know that when someone else tells you on a Facebook group that, hey, your a normal conversion rate should be 40 or 50%, that may not be true at all for your product. So we need to track it. We need to find out what's true for you. And we're going to do that by recording your unit session percentage on a daily basis. All right. Third metric is tacos percentage. So total advertising cost of sale. So you're probably very familiar with ACOS, which is what we would look at when we're looking at PPC. But we also want to look at tacos, right? What is the total ad contribution that we have for this particular product? So if you spent, let's say $50 on ads for this product and you made $100 in ad sales for that product, cool. But we also want to know overall, how much did you make? So your tacos essentially would say you spent $50 on ads, but total sales, ads and organic, it's, let's say, $500, right? So that would give you a 10% tacos. And we want to track that, okay? So that's a third metric. The fourth metric is a PPC sales percentage ratio. That's a mouthful, but basically all I want to find out is what is my organic sales percentage and what is my PPC sales percentage, right? So what percentage of my sales come from PPC? My typical target is going to be around 25%. So if I sell 100 units a day, I'd want about 25 of those coming from PPC, and I'd want the other 75 to come from organic keyword ranking. Super important, because if you flip those, and let's say you get the majority of your sales from PPC, there's a pretty high chance you are not profitable, right? If you're having to pay for the vast majority of your sales, your ACOS is going to be high, so that'll be your first red flag there. But if your tacos and your ACOS are high, and you also find that the total percentage of sales is mostly coming from PPC, well, clear indicator, you've got a problem with organic visibility. We need to solve it. So that's why we track that one. Now let's look at total sales and revenue. All right, that's the fifth metric. So basically total sales per day, per SKU. What is that, right? We ultimately, all these metrics we're looking at, it is so that we can increase that number. So we should probably track it, right? If you've got a goal to launch and come out with this product and you want to make, let's say $20,000 a month in revenue on that product, then, well, we need to know how much money we're actually making per day and then what the target is per day, right? So that's why we track that. Now, first and foremost, right? So those are the 5 metrics. We have sessions, unit session percentage or conversion rate, tacos, PPC sales ratio, and then total revenue, right? Per SKU on a per day basis. The first thing I want to let all of you know though is you do not need to be notating these yourself. I've had a VA do this for about 5 years now for all 15 to 20 data points I mentioned earlier, but especially for these, have these put in a spreadsheet. You can have it broken down into daily increments and you can quickly go in and see how it's going. I would highly recommend that you create some sort of dashboard or summary, and that way you can quickly see like week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and you can quickly see like where's the trend going? Is our sales going up? Are they flat? Are they going down? Our sessions doing the same thing, up, down, or staying about the same. We want to look at these things on a daily basis. So how do we make good decisions based on these metrics, right? If I'm looking at these, what are they telling me? Well, over time, what you're going to be able to figure out is, 1, what kind of session count do you typically have? What kind of conversion rate do you typically have? That will become your baseline. Once you've established that baseline, which will probably take you about 4 weeks of data to kind of figure it out, unless you're out of stock or something like that. But once you've established that baseline, when you start making changes to your listing, when you start getting more traffic and more sales, you now know exactly where the change in the data comes from. Okay, so if we're coming into peak season for your product and you're tracking these and you know what your baseline is, and you find out rather quickly that, hey, most of my sales come from PPC, and that is your indicator that, hey, I need to go check on my organic keyword rank? Am I indexed? You need to know these things, and the key indicator is looking at that PPC sales ratio. So you can look at these data points and quickly decide, hey, that's not normal, or that needs to go up, or that is going down, which is the wrong direction. So those are the 5 key metrics that you can track, and if you look at them and you get used to looking at them on at least a weekly basis, you can start making really excellent decisions. Now, before I hop off, I do want to share a couple of things. What if you want to be like super lazy about this? What if you just want to know, like, I just need literally 1 or 2 numbers, not 5? Okay, then what you can do, and it's not as good because you're limited on the scope of it. However, there is one metric that Amazon gives you that is basically the indicator of whether or not your product is moving in the right direction, and that is BSR. Now, I know you're thinking, seriously, like BSR? But yeah, I mean, that's really the one metric that you can look at and say, hey, compared to everyone else in the category, how am I doing? Now, what I also mean is we want to look at top level BSR, but also sub level BSR, or your subcategory BSR. And it's important to look at both because one doesn't tell the full picture. And so we want to make sure we're looking at these in a way that you can interpret. So you guys have probably seen 100 times someone makes a post, hey, anyone else's sales down? Or maybe you haven't seen the post, or maybe you thought the same thing, like, why are my sales down today? Is there something wrong with my listing? The worst thing that you can do is see your sales drop and then say, oh, I need to go change my images and my bullets and all those things. Don't do that. Here's a quick way that you can go in and say, hey, there's nothing wrong. It's just Amazon's down right now in the sense that maybe they don't have as many customers today. It might be a holiday or whatever. So when you're looking at top level BSR, you can quickly find out, hey, what is a normal range for you? Again, if you're tracking this stuff on a daily basis, it becomes very simple to track these things. So, and to understand what's normal for your product. So let's say your typical top level BSR is 10,000. Okay, cool, great. But let's say sales drop. All right, so what do? Right? If sales drop but your BSR stays the same, what's wrong? My sales should be the same. If my BSR is the same. That's not how that works. That's why we also track sub-level BSR or subcategory BSR. So what you would want to do, let's say you have a day where sales are dropping and you look at your top-level BSR and it's mostly the same, right? Top-level BSR is going to fluctuate a lot. But subcategory BSR shouldn't fluctuate near as much, and sure as heck not as in many places, right? So if your top level is 10,000, let's say your sub-level is 5, right? Let's say you're ranked number 5th in the subcategory, okay? Well, if you want to know if it's your product that has an issue or if it's just Amazon is being Amazon right now, then you quickly go and look at your sub-level category. If you're normally in position 5, let's say sales are half of what they normally are, and you're still in position 5 on your sub-level, category BSR, then you're fine. There's no need to worry. That means you were still ranked compared to all the other people in your subcategory in the exact same place, and it just means that Amazon's total sales are down for your particular category. That's it. So I'm a little bit over time here, so I want to hop off. I want to say thank you guys. Hopefully you found these things helpful, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Justin. These are the metrics that you all need to keep in mind to make sure that your product is headed into the right direction. So moving on, our last speaker of the day, last speaker of the event is Menon, and he is back to talk about how SellerApp has helped some businesses scale up on Amazon and on different platforms. So we have some case studies for you that will prove that SellerApp is the right partner for you in your Amazon journey. Over to you, Ram. I'm really excited to see you speak again.
Thank you, Ria, for the wonderful session earlier today. I think we have a lot to consume in terms of the different aspects in terms of how data could really help us in our day-to-day Amazon business. I think once again want to thank Mayuresh as well as Justin who had the earlier sessions, and it kind of allowed us to understand how important the data was, right? I think it is the bread and butter of how Amazon works, and it's really important for us to understand how we could use the data to kind of ensure these brands kind of grow in the next level business, right? It kind of helps us to kind of understand how SellerApp potentially uses this data to ensure that our clients, our customers, our brands, our sellers are enabled with this information, and we are able to provide the right information at the right time. I think today's topic is one of the key most things, and it kind of give a good segue in terms of what the earlier speakers have mentioned, from data to how SellerApp has really used it throughout different case studies, right? I think On the first part of it, before moving on to the case study, I just want to give a quick introduction about myself. I'm Menon. I'm the Director of Sales at SellerApp. My primary focus is in terms of helping emerging brands to grow their account, right? Helping emerging brands to kind of focus in terms of the next level opportunities to ensure that they find the right partner in us to grow their brand. I mean, ultimately that's our focus, right? We want to ensure that we help customers grow, and in terms, at SellerApp, we are able to kind of utilize the best possible way. Our first case study, which I want to have a quick rundown, is the EcoSafety, right? I mean, this brand has been with us since 2019. I remember the initial days where John had onboarded with us, and we really tried to understand the product. For all of you who do not know, EcoSafety primarily focuses on home improvement products, right? From your paints to your cleaners to your home improvement material to your stainers to your removers. So it is not a typical niche of the world product where probably it's an electronics category or anything, right? I mean, this is the product which had to be really in focus. This had to be a product where we had to really understand the technicalities of the product, how it would work, how the product would work, what it would take to actually make this product. And I think our initial days, way back in 2019, I think it was around March sometime, I think we had this first conversation with John, and I think we had a 2-hour lengthy discussion in terms of understanding his biggest challenges, right? And I think that's where we kind of identified that, there were a couple of points which he was really focused upon, that we wanted to ensure that we had much more exposure for his product through the PPC. We had to ensure that we had to reach out to much more audience because of his niche market in the category itself. And also, as every other customer would say, overall increase the revenue. I think, that's a common part of every business owner or brand, but that was the primary focus as well, because John had his own website, he was making sales, and he wanted Amazon to be a real integral part of his entire ecosystem to make sure that he was continuously building the brand what he wanted to set forth. A couple of the highlights we wanted to kind of bring was, before we onboarded John, was that he had close to 166% impression. We were able to kind of increase his clicks, right? And that's where our focus was to help John understand, how SellerApp could be the right partner for him for his Amazon business, right? And that's where we want to really ensure that, we were the right choice, we were the right marketing partner, we were the right listing partner, we were the overall brand partner for him so that he could take a step to the next level, right? I think that's where the endless opportunity lies, where we are just not focused on one aspect of the business, but we wanted to ensure that we were there ready for John whenever he required, right? It might be a simple thing in terms of the listing, might have been the simple thing in terms of understanding how the product was, understanding how the market was. Also trying to help him figure out how the pictures would work, how the images should be in your product detail page, and that's where the results speak for its words, right? I mean, our numbers were great. We were able to kind of pick up his account. We were able to increase his impression. We were able to overall improve his growth in terms of the account. Now, we were able to kind of reach up to 26 million impressions in the year of 2020. We were able to click to close to 57,000 clicks in the year of 2020. And I think the results kind of speaks for his words, right? As I said, the overall brand was able to kind of grow in terms of 121%. With the help of SellerApp's tools, with the help of the SellerApp's managed services, we were able to ensure that what we set across in the year of 2019, we were able to kind of complete it in the year of 2020. I think even today, we have seen a tremendous growth or improvement. I think there is a progression in terms of sales, and we were able to be the right partner, and we were able to kind of grow the business, right? I think it was a good account we had to onboard, and it was a challenging account. Kudos to our success team. We were able to kind of grow this business and take it in the right direction. The next case study I really want to focus upon, which is probably more closer to my heart, is the Cardology account. I think this is an account we had onboarded, I think somewhere in the month of June of 2020, and we've been ongoing with it, since the past 1 year. I think our initial conversations with Deepa, who is the owner of Cardology, was tremendous. And I think we had analyzed the account, we had audited the account, and we had found such massive scope of improvement. And especially, since you guys don't know where the market is, so Cardology primarily sells in the Amazon UK market. And I think our biggest focus in terms of the account was to ensure that what the amount they spent it was kind of utilized in the best way. I remember that our initial conversation, our biggest chunk in what we really focused was on the wasted spend metric. I remember we had this initial phone call with Deepa, and when we had shared the analysis and audit, she was absolutely shocked to see those certain numbers, and she had messaged me saying, okay, did we really actually waste that much money in the account? And I was like, no, absolutely yes. I mean, there may be a 5 to 10% up and down, but there was a massive chunk in terms of overspend in kind of undermanaged campaigns, right? And that kind of ensured that their visibility was not at the best level, the sales were not doing good, and what we had to primarily do was to ensure that the overall growth of the account was taken in the right direction. And I think that's where we kind of really took into place. Through our advertising services, we were able to kind of ensure that we were the right partner for Deepa, we were the right partner for the cardiology business. We were able to ensure we fine-tune the account, we ensure that we reduce the wasted spend in the right direction, and the results kind of speak for itself, right? I think the overall growth of the account was absolutely rocking. Like, we were able to kind of grow the business 107%. The overall ACOS, the total ACOS in terms of the campaign was absolutely down. We were able to get it down to 15%. And we were able to grow the overall PPC revenue to 143%. And I think we had this initial conversation. The first one we onboarded was somewhere in July, and then we had a conversation in December. And I wrote a single line email to her, in terms of the wasted spend. And I think even today she looks at that number. She said, I don't know how or what happened, before we joined SellerApp, why do we have this wasted spend amount? But today, when you look at the numbers, it is absolutely optimized. We were taking it to the next level, and that's kind of utilizing the different tools, right? I mean, from our data, what our earlier speakers have spoken, we really understood, what was the challenge. We really understood, what we had to focus upon, and utilizing the data in the right direction, with all our customers, with all our brands, with all our sellers. And I think the biggest focus for us is always understand, what would be those goals. What would be those short-term goals? What would be those long-term goals, right? Obviously we cannot make magic happen within a day or 2 days, or take a month. Usually with any account, we see that the potential for the account, and we try to understand what the clients are really looking into, right? I think more than just being a platform subscription, more than just being an advertising management company, we really want to be a partner with everyone. We really want to ensure that we take the brand to next level, and that's how what SellerApp is all about, right? I mean, since 2017, we had to focus upon multiple different aspects of the business, right? We have helped close to 57 brands. We are working with over 11 agencies, and that is our motto, that is our vision, right? Sprint your Amazon growth with SellerApp, and that's a complete focus in terms of Amazon. Now, this kind of ends the day 5 session. I hope you guys had a wonderful time, and obviously there's much more information passed on from day 1 to all the way day 5. I'm sure that you have a lot to consume. I'm sure that there's a lot more challenging times in terms of the Amazon business, and I hope all of you guys are safe, all of you guys are well and good. And I'll pass this on to Ria, and she can take it from there. But once again, thank you guys, and have a wonderful day, and enjoy our sessions.
Thank you so much, Ram, for that amazing presentation and case study. I'm thoroughly surprised and happy with the job that SellerApp does for thousands of sellers every day to help them scale their businesses on Amazon. So of course, SellerApp, let SellerApp be your #1 growth partner. And thank you so much for attending this event, everyone. So here's a quick recap of what has happened today. So first we had Mayuresh speak about data and how data is important for your business, understanding your numbers to formulate the right Q4 strategy for this year. Then we had Justin from Titan Network, who spoke about indicators that you need to track to make sure that your product is headed into the right direction. And then we had Ram Menon, who spoke about how SellerApp is the perfect #1 growth partner for you. We spoke about case studies and proved to all the sellers watching right now that SellerApp is perhaps your #1 growth partner. So now that we've reached towards the end of the event, I would like to thank everyone for watching. I would also like to thank all our sponsors and our partners for making this event a huge success. These 5 days have been amazing to host and we love hearing from you guys. So let us know which one your favorite session was in the comment section below or in the live chat, and make sure to give us a like. If you haven't registered already yet, the registration link closes very soon, so make sure that you register for the event, because we give you additional perks as a registry. We give you workshops and we give you goodie bag, which has interesting coupon codes from all our partners. So make sure that you register for the event. The link is in the description. So if you have missed out on any of the previous 4 days, or if you want to re-watch our event again, we have made it accessible for you by creating a playlist. So the playlist link will be in the description below. And if you want to watch the session again, you can go on YouTube and search for Amazon Q4 Mastery, and you shall be able to see our event.
And that's a wrap, everyone. Amazon Q4 Mastery 2021 comes to an end with that amazing session. We have had 5 intense days with 14 amazing speakers giving their insights on how you can master this Q4. We explored a lot of things, starting from how you can scale your D2C brands, the current role of advertising and branding to your business, inventory management, and so much more. And I would like to thank all the speakers who were a big part of it. And last but not the least, we also learned about data-driven insights and how important they are for your business. I think that was one of my favorite sessions by far. We would have not gained all these amazing insights without our fantastic speakers. I would like to thank all of them for being a part of Amazon Q4 Mastery. I had a great time speaking to them all and hosting the event. I love each one of you, so thank you so much for being a part of Amazon Q4 Mastery 2021. This event would have not been possible without our amazing partners, SellerLogic, Getaida, Capify, Amazing at Home, Titan Networks, HelloTax, and so many more. So make sure that you check out all our partners, because they have so much to offer and they will help you in your Amazon journey. I would also like to thank our SellerApp family. We have spent countless nights to make sure that this event is a huge success, starting with Krishna Kumar, who made sure that all our videos are going out on time. He's our editor. Ajay, Soumya, Bridge, Dilip, Arishekaran, Ashi, and Priyanka, thank you so much, and congratulations for this event being a huge success. And lastly, I would like to thank everyone who's watching this right now. It was because of your constant support and your love and appreciation that we have made this event such a huge success. We see you liking our videos, we see you leaving a comment on our videos, and we see you subscribing to our channel as well. So to appreciate that gesture of yours, we are going to be sending you a goodie bag filled with amazing goodies. So make sure you check your email IDs that you have registered to this event with, and you shall receive that goodie bag. And of course, if you would like to revisit any strategies that were given to us by the experts in the session, the videos will be on our YouTube channel, and we've also created a playlist called Amazon Q4 Master 2021, so you can rewatch these videos again and make sure that you're making the most out of Q4. And of course, this is not the end. SellerApp will be back with amazing events in the future, starting with Go Seller, that will help you build your enterprise business. And of course, Amazon Q4 Mastery 2021 will be back next year. It's going to be bigger and it's going to be better, so keep an eye out for that. And thank you so much for watching, everyone. Of course, we will be posting our educational content like we always do, and we will see you all there. Well, until the next time, happy selling.